All right, let's dive in. Today we're going to be exploring those really vibrant musical spectacles that have become a global thing, especially in South Indian films. Yeah, those special songs. We're going to be going past just enjoying the music, though. We really want to dig into what makes these songs so special, how they've evolved over time, and why people just can't get enough of them.
Yeah, it's really interesting, how they've gone from just these standalone, I guess you could call them item numbers, to something that's like really important to a film's whole identity. Especially, like you said, in South Indian cinema, they've kind of, I guess you could say they've blended the traditional and the modern together.
That's a great point. And, speaking of special songs, we got to talk about the brand new one that's making waves, Kissik, from, the sequel everyone's waiting for, Pushpa 2, The Rule. Of course, everyone's comparing it to Antava from the first Pushpa film, which, let's face it, became a huge sensation.
Yeah, for sure. Both songs really showcase how director Sukumar elevates the whole cinematic experience with these special songs.
Yeah.
His films are just so detailed. And then when you add in the music by Devi Sri Prasad, or DSP as he's often called.
Oh, yeah, DSP. Yeah. He's like a musical chameleon, blending all kinds of genres together. He's incredible with folk music, hip-hop, electronic dance music, you name it. What always gets me is how he mixes traditional Indian instruments with those modern sounds, and it creates something completely fresh. How does that come across in Antava and Kissik?
Well, in Antava, you can really hear how DSP crafted this seductive and provocative sound.
Yeah.
That just fit perfectly with what the song's all about. He uses traditional instruments like the dholak and the shinai, but then mixes them with modern electronic beats and that driving bass line.
Right. It creates that push and pull feeling that really mirrors what's going on in the song. And let's not forget, Antava really blew up globally, right? Samantha Ruth Prabhu's performance in that, unconventional role, it really got people talking.
Oh, absolutely. It was a game changer. Antava challenged all these societal norms and sparked these big debates about how we see gender and hypocrisy. It made some people uncomfortable, while others found it really empowering. What's amazing is how it could be both thought-provoking and just super fun at the same time. It became a global dance anthem.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Now, Kissik seems to be carrying that torch, but, with its own vibe. It feels more, how should I put it, vibrant and celebratory, especially compared to Antava's sensuality and that kind of challenge to the rules. What are your first impressions of Kissik, and what makes it stand out from Antava?
Well, Kissik definitely has a more celebratory and, playful energy to it. You can really hear that in the music. What's interesting is that DSP brought in a rap verse by Paradox, which adds a whole new dimension to the song, and it kind of shows how Indian cinema is changing. And then there's Sri Leela. She's one of the most promising new talents in South Indian cinema, and she just brings this incredible energy to Kissik.
Oh, her dancing is amazing. She's got such grace and precision. It's really captivating to watch.
Oh yeah, she's a trained dancer, you can tell. But it's not just the technical skill, it's how she really embodies the whole spirit of the song.
And of course, we can't forget the star power of Allu Arjun. He's the heart of the Pushpa films, and his dancing is just electrifying. What do you think he brings to Kissik?
Allu Arjun just has this authenticity to everything he does. In Kissik, you can't miss his charisma and swagger, and his chemistry with Sri Leela adds that playful energy I was talking about. They're just so fun to watch together.
Speaking of watching, the music video for Kissik is just stunning visually. The way they use color, the camera angles, the choreography. It's clear they put a lot of thought and effort into every single frame. It's like a mini movie within the film.
It really is a masterclass in visual storytelling. What really struck me was how they use color to create these visual metaphors, like the contrast between Sri Leela's red sari and the other dancers in their blue costumes. It's all intentional.
Oh, I see what you mean.
It reflects those themes of tradition versus modernity, romance and spice, all blending together in this celebration.
Those little details really add a whole other level to the experience, but I think it's also important to talk about some of the criticism that special songs sometimes get, especially concerns about, how women are portrayed. How do you think Antava and Kissik address that?
There's this, misconception that these songs are all about objectifying women. But if you really pay attention, you see that the women leading both of these songs are far from passive. They're in charge, showing off their talent and who they are.
That's a great point. They're not just there to be looked at, they're active participants.
Exactly. And it reflects how Indian cinema is evolving. Women are playing more active and empowered roles.
That shift is definitely noticeable. And let's not forget the amazing partnership between Sukumar and DSP. They've created some of the most memorable songs in Indian cinema history. What do you think makes their collaboration so successful?
It's their ability to, like, play off each other's strengths. Sukumar always wants to push the boundaries, and DSP has this incredible talent for creating music that's both traditional and innovative. Together, they've made some groundbreaking work.
Yeah, Kissik is a perfect example of that. It feels like a natural part of the film's story, adding to the world that Sukumar has created.
And there's a reason it's getting so much attention. It's catchy, visually captivating, and it features some of the biggest names in South Indian cinema.
I have a feeling it's going to be another global hit, just like Ooh, Antava.
It definitely has the potential. What I find so interesting is how these songs, while being rooted in tradition, also reflect how things are changing in Indian society and how women's roles in cinema are evolving.
That's where things get really interesting, right? It makes you wonder how these special songs are shaping how people see things, both in India and around the world.
That's a really interesting question to think about. It shows how powerful music and cinema can be in starting conversations and challenging what we think we know.
Before we go too deep into those societal implications, I want to take a closer look at some of the things that make Kissik so captivating. Starting with Srila's performance, what really jumps out at you?
Her energy is just infectious.
Yeah.
It's amazing how crisp and precise every move is, but at the same time, it feels so effortless and joyful.
You're so right. It's this perfect mix of technical skill and just pure charisma. And the way she interacts with Allu Arjun, and their chemistry is off the charts. It adds this layer of playfulness that just pulls you in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And speaking of Allu Arjun, he's such a captivating presence. He just has this way of commanding your attention.
He's the foundation of the whole Pushpa world, you know? In Kissik, his confidence and swagger are just through the roof. I love how he can switch between being intense and playful so seamlessly. He's a really versatile performer.
It's amazing how he just blends into these special songs, even though they're not directly tied to the main story. He makes it feel like a completely natural part of everything.
It's a testament to his talent as an actor and his understanding of what Sukumar's trying to do with the film. Now, we have to talk about the music itself. DSP has done it again. He's created another one of those catchy, energetic tracks that makes you want to get up and dance. What are your thoughts on the music?
DSP is just incredible at blending genres. He's woven together folk music, electronic elements, and hip-hop in Kissik. And he doesn't just throw sounds together randomly. He knows how to use them to create specific feelings and tell a story through the music.
It's true. He's not afraid to experiment, but his music always feels connected to Indian tradition.
That's what makes him so unique. He's pushing the boundaries while still honoring his heritage. And bringing in paradox for that rap verse in Kissik is a great example of that. It gives the song a contemporary feel, but it still feels authentically Indian.
It's such a cool surprise. It really shows that he's not afraid to take risks. And that's what makes his music so exciting.
Oh, absolutely. He's a true innovator, always trying to find new ways to surprise his audience.
And it's not just the music that's captivating. The visuals in Kissik are just stunning.
Oh, the music video is like a work of art. The way they use color, the camera angles, the elaborate sets, everything is so carefully planned and executed.
It's a visual feast. And the choreography is dynamic and intricate, yet it feels effortless.
The dancers are incredibly talented. And the way the choreography is captured with the camera and the editing is masterful.
There's this one shot where Sri Leela is dancing in front of a giant mirror, and her reflection creates this amazing visual effect. It just shows the level of detail they put into the production.
Every frame is composed to create a certain mood and make the song even more impactful. They really paid attention to every little thing.
It's these little things that make Kissik more than just a catchy song. It's a testament to everyone's talent and creativity, from the director and the composer to the dancers and the camera crew.
It really speaks to the power of special songs in Indian cinema. They're not just there for entertainment. They're cultural events that capture people's imaginations and stick with them.
And they often lead to conversations about social issues and changing cultural values, like we were discussing earlier. Antava challenged gender norms, and Kissik seems to be carrying on that conversation, even if it's in a different way. What do you think about how Kissik contributes to the way women are portrayed in Indian cinema today?
Kissik shows us female empowerment in a way that's both joyful and defiant. Sri Leela's character isn't being objectified. She's in control, she's confident, and she's celebrating her femininity on her own terms. It's a subtle message, but it's a powerful one, especially in a society that's still trying to figure out all these gender dynamics.
It's a reminder that progress isn't always about grand statements. Sometimes it's about those small shifts in representation, those moments when we see ourselves reflected in a new and empowering way.
Exactly. And those moments can have a real impact, changing how people see things and inspiring real change.
So, as we move toward the last part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how special songs like Kissik fit into the bigger story of Indian cinema. Are they just entertaining breaks, or do they serve a deeper purpose?
I think they're way more than just breaks. They're part of how the story is told, often reflecting the themes and emotions of the film in a really powerful and focused way. Yeah, they're like a way to get those conversations started and to make people really think about these complicated issues.
Exactly. Kissik is kind of a gateway into those conversations. We see that clash between tradition and modernity, the changing roles of men and women, and just incredible artistry. It's all connected.
And it's not just happening in isolation. These songs are part of a bigger cultural shift in India, a push for more inclusivity and representation.
Let's dig a bit deeper into the things that make Kissik so captivating. You mentioned Sri Leela's energy before. What makes her performance stand out?
It's more than just energy. It's her precision, her control. Like, every move is so sharp and deliberate, yet it flows so gracefully. You can tell she's classically trained, but there's a modern feel to it as well.
Yeah, it's like she's honoring tradition, but also pushing it forward.
Exactly. And how she interacts with Allu Arjun adds another layer to it all. There's a playful chemistry between them that really makes the song even better.
Speaking of Allu Arjun, he's got such a magnetic presence. What does he bring to Kissik?
Allu Arjun just commands your attention. He's an amazing dancer, and he's got this swagger that's so compelling. But it's not just about the moves, it's how he embodies the Pushpa character so well. Even in a song like Kissik, you see a different side of him.
It's like he's not just performing, he's really living it. It feels so natural.
That's his skill as an actor. He gets those little details of the character and knows how to show them through his expressions and movement.
We can't talk about Kissik without mentioning the visuals in the music video. It's just so visually stunning. What are some of the things that stand out to you?
Oh, there's so much to talk about. The use of color is amazing. There's this intentional contrast between warm and cool colors, which reflects the dual themes of the song romance and spice, tradition and modernity. And the camera work, it's constantly moving, capturing the energy of the dance and pulling you right into the action.
It's like this whirlwind of movement and color. And it's not just about being pretty, it's purposeful. Every shot seems to add to the story.
There's a scene where Sri Leela is dancing in this shower of colorful powder, and it's just visually breathtaking. But it's also symbolic. It represents the vibrancy and joy at the heart of the song. They really put a lot of thought into how the visuals add to the emotional impact.
It's those layers of symbolism that make it so much deeper. It's not just about pretty pictures, it's about understanding the story they're telling.
And the costumes are a big part of that storytelling too. Sri Leela's red sari is visually striking, but it also says something about her character's strength and passion. It's a traditional piece of clothing with a modern twist, which is kind of like the whole theme of the song, blending old and new.
It's amazing how all the elements from the costumes and choreography to the camera work come together to create this layered experience.
It shows just how much artistry and attention to detail goes into these special songs. They're so carefully made to be more than just musical breaks. They're like mini cinematic experiences.
And as we've been talking about, they often spark these discussions about social and cultural issues. ANTAAVA challenged gender norms, and it seems like Kissik is continuing that conversation, but in a different way. How do you see Kissik contributing to how women are being portrayed in Indian cinema today?
Kissik presents this vision of female empowerment that's joyful and defiant at the same time. Sri Leela's character isn't objectified. She's in control, she's confident, and she's celebrating her femininity on her own terms. So it's a subtle message, but it's powerful, especially in a society that's still working through these complex gender dynamics.
Yeah, it reminds us that progress isn't always about big, loud statements. Sometimes it's those subtle changes in how things are represented, those moments when we see ourselves portrayed in a new and empowering way.
Exactly, and those moments can really have a ripple effect, changing perceptions and inspiring change.
We can't forget about the musical genius behind these songs. DSP has a gift for creating music that's both catchy and meaningful. What makes his approach to composition so unique?
DSP is a master of blending genres. He's mixed folk music, electronic music, and hip-hop in Kissik. But it's not just about putting different sounds together. He understands how to use them to create emotions and tell a story.
He's not afraid to experiment, but his music always feels rooted in Indian tradition.
That's what makes him so special, that balance of pushing boundaries and honoring his heritage. And the rap verse by Paradox in Kissik is a perfect example. Gives the song a modern sound while still feeling authentically Indian.
Right. It shows that tradition and innovation can exist together, and they can even make each other better.
Absolutely. And DSP's work is a perfect example of that.
Kissik is a true testament to collaboration. The director, the composer, the actors, the dancers, the cinematographers, everyone came together to create something really special.
And that collaborative spirit is what Indian cinema is all about. It's a collective art form. And that sense of community makes it so vibrant and engaging.
So we've talked about the performances, the visuals, the music, the social commentary, but what about the feeling Kissik leaves you with? How does it make you feel?
For me, Kissik is about joy, about celebration, about pure energy. But it's not superficial. It's a joy that feels earned, a celebration of resilience, of pushing limits, of embracing change.
It reminds us that even when things are tough, we can still find moments of pure joy and connection. And sometimes those moments come in the form of a catchy song and a dance number.
Exactly. That's the magic of cinema. It can transport us, lift us up, and remind us of the beauty that exists in the world.
But it's not just about escaping reality. Kissik also makes us think about bigger things, about social change, about how traditions evolve, about how art can start conversations.
It reminds us that even the most entertaining art can have a deeper meaning, a message that stays with us long after the music is over.
Kissik really embodies everything that makes Indian cinema so captivating. The bright colors, the infectious energy, the heartfelt storytelling, and the willingness to tackle important issues.
It really shows how Indian cinema is evolving and how it connects with people all over the world.
As we move into the final part of our deep dive, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how special songs like Kissik fit into the overall story of Indian cinema. Are they just entertaining breaks, or do they serve a more significant purpose?
I think they're much more than just breaks. They're a key part of how the story is told, often highlighting the themes and emotions of the film in a very focused and intense way.
Yeah, they can be really powerful for showing emotions, moving the plot forward, and even making social commentary.
And they often bridge the gap between what's happening on screen and what the audience is feeling. It's like they pull you into the story and make you experience those emotions more deeply.
Kissik does a fantastic job of that. It's a spectacle in its own right, but it also helps us understand the characters and the whole world of Pushpa better.
Definitely. It shows Sukumar's talent as a director. He knows how to use these special songs to add to the story, not take away from it.
We've talked about the criticism that these special songs sometimes get, with some people saying they objectify women or focus too much on spectacle and not enough on substance. What are your thoughts on that, especially when it comes to ANTAAVA and Kissik?
It's a valid point, and we have to acknowledge that not every special song is the same. There are definitely cases where they've reinforced harmful stereotypes, but I think it's important to look at each song on its own and consider the context. With ANTAAVA and Kissik, I see a real effort to move away from objectification and toward empowerment.
I agree. In ANTAAVA, Samantha's character was directly challenging the way men look at women. She was using her sensuality to rebel, not to submit. And in Kissik, Shrila's performance is full of joy and confidence. She's owning her space, her body, her expression. It's a celebration of female agency.
It's about taking back the narrative, shifting the focus from the male perspective to the female experience. That's a huge step, especially in a genre that has struggled with representing women fairly.
It also reflects a broader change happening in Indian society, a growing awareness of gender equality and the importance of women's voices.
These songs are a reflection of that cultural shift. They're not just entertainment, they're part of a bigger conversation about identity, representation, and how society is progressing.
It's amazing how art can be both a reflection of society and a force for change.
And that's what I think makes these special songs so interesting. They're fun and entertaining, but they also have the power to challenge what we think, to start conversations, and to inspire new ways of looking at things.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Kissik and the history of special songs in Indian cinema, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
I hope they come to these songs with an open mind, but also a critical eye. I hope they look beyond the surface and appreciate the deeper meaning, the cultural context, and the artistry behind them. These songs are so much more than just catchy music and dazzling visuals. They reflect a culture that's constantly evolving, and they have the power to shape our perceptions and start important conversations.
That's a great way to put it. I hope our listeners are inspired to explore the world of Indian cinema even more, to discover the richness and diversity of its stories, its music, and its people.
It's a journey full of surprises, and I promise you won't be disappointed.
To all our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Kissik. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and that you'll keep exploring the amazing world of Indian cinema. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep searching for those hidden gems of knowledge and understanding.